So welcome. This is the first of many videos you're going to see from me, and hopefully as we progress my ums and ahs will be less and less, but it is a bit weird to kind of talk into a camera. I don't do this very often. I usually speak to actually bodies. So this is, well, day 2 technically of our 30-day challenge, and you are joining me for some tea. I have here the Organic African Nectar by Mighty Leaf, one of my favorites. It's orangey, it's yummy, it's herbal, and it's my afternoon tea. I've managed to catch a few minutes without chaos in my house because we don't have anybody here right now except for me and my puppies, so hopefully we can get some stuff done. What I am hoping to cover in these videos is a really interactive way that you guys can comment, and we can also have a little bit of a chat about the philosophy of the practice and what we're hoping to gain. Yesterday we met at the studio, and there is a whopping 57 of us in this 30-day challenge, and I'm so utterly thrilled. We are going to be doing a lot of yoga together over the next 30 days, and hopefully you'll be able to connect and intermingle with each other and be able to kind of develop some levels of buddies and camaraderie in all of the challenging times, because they will happen. And that's inevitable. But hopefully this practice is going to be something that will inspire you to maintain a daily practice, and that really is the ultimate goal. So I guess number 1 would be make sure that you are choosing optimal times of the day to practice. Realistically, 5 o'clock in the evening is a time that schedules change, things pop up, life happens, and we may or may not be able to make our yoga practice. So I would really encourage you to pick some times of the day that you typically don't use. And for most of us, that means early morning practices. So we have them at both of the studios, and hopefully you'll put them to use. Please make sure that you book into your classes the day before, so that way you have your spot, and that you just have to show up and check in 10 minutes before your class begins, and you don't have to worry about maybe showing up to the studio and the class being full. Secondly, if you happen to take a look online and you see that the Book Now button has gone beside your class, it just simply means that 50% of that class space is full, so you're going to want to make sure that you attend at least 20-25 minutes early to make sure that you get the spot in the room that you want. I guess a little bit of number 2 would be make sure that you pick up your bingo card. This is just a fun way to get everybody sort of playing together, and maybe trying some new things in the class, like parking your mat at the front of the studio that you may not usually do. And yeah, so it's meant to be fun. There is no obligation. There still is going to be the grand prize draw for all of you who do complete the challenge with or without doing the bingo. You just have more options to win some fun yoga goodies, and maybe have some fun. I want to make sure that we understand the difference between goal and intention. Intention is a very important aspect of this practice, but intention really just allows you to sit in the experience of what it is that you want. When you create a goal, you're really trying to achieve something. Intention helps you to sit in accordance with your beliefs. And so when we come to our yoga mat every day, we want to make sure that we create an intention. Today, I plan on practicing peaceful. Today, I am going to be with my breath. And it just really helps us uphold the principles of our practice, rather than today I'm going to make sure that I do all of my sun salutations fully. Those are maybe a bit more goal-oriented. And I did actually have a comment about the bingo, that it may be a little bit goal-oriented, and I understand, but you, again, don't have to partake if you don't want to. If you find that it's going to be one more thing on your schedule, then by all means don't do that. This should create some ease and some free time in your life and help you maybe deal better with the busy stuff. Okay, so I've got some notes here that I'm going to reflect on. I've also got some writings about sort of influential people in both the Eastern and Western world of yoga, and what their comments are about what yoga is and why you may want to practice. That's a very important thing to sort of think about when you are starting a yoga practice, because as we talked about yesterday, we could be coming because we're looking for stress relief, we're looking to build community, get around some like-minded individuals. We might be at a yoga practice because we are curing or healing ourselves from a past injury. Maybe somebody has recommended that it would be good. We might be doing a 30-day challenge because we like to challenge ourselves. We might be wanting to learn and develop a meditation practice. We might be wanting to conquer that unreachable yoga posture and get into handstand once and for all. There are a gajillion reasons why we may or may not want to be practicing. So understanding what it is that you have chosen this challenge for is also going to be very effective. Here are some interesting things that I think can sort of bring that into some perspective. BKS Iyengar speaks about cure and endure. He says, yoga teaches us to cure what need not be endured and endured what cannot be cured. And that's an interesting concept, because there are many things in our lives that we just have to work through and be with, but yet there are so many things in our lives that we may dramatize, and we may accentuate the story, and we may build on the stress of the scenario where it isn't necessary. So that's one. This one I quite like. Her name's Sue Flam, and she speaks of it being a living practice. And what Sue says is, one does not become a black belt or understand what it means to be a black belt the moment the student enters the dojo. Nor does one become a master bricklayer by building a brick wall. These are the things that must be studied, practiced, and understood. And in yoga, this is a lifelong study that continues to reveal itself with years of practice and dedication. Yoga is not perfecting positions or yoga asanas. It is much, much more. Yoga is a living practice. What is revealed to us on our yoga mat serves as a metaphor for our lives. So that is very interesting. She's got a pretty strong background in restorative yoga, so maybe you should pop into a restore class and see how that feels for you. And then here we've got one more, Eric Schiffman. He speaks about stillness. I use the discipline of yoga to encourage the experience of stillness. The feeling of stillness is peace, and the feeling of peace is joy. That's simple and profound and exciting. Now, keep in mind, the idea that stillness is like a perfectly centered top, spinning so fast that it appears motionless. Stillness does not mean no energy. It means no conflict. And because there is no conflict, it is a high energy state that with which we are normally accustomed. When you experience yourself in an unconflicted way, you will experience the truth about what you are. So you can see there's a lot of different vast reasons as why we may or may not attend a yoga practice. So please, today's job for you is to figure out what it is that you are here for, what it is that you maybe want to see as your goal, but also separating and understanding the difference between your goal and intention. So look at the things that are important in your life, looking at the things in your life that are starting to give you struggle, the places that make you feel stuck, the place that make you feel dull, the place that make you feel full of energy and full of life, and see if you can kind of come up with an intention that you can use to help make your practice sustainable for this next 30 days and for the rest of your life. Your intentions will change and shift, but it's best to really align your intention with a place of purity. And a place of purity would mean, can I ask myself like 3 or 4 whys when I'm setting my intention? Well, why am I wanting to do that? Why am I wanting to do that? And after you do about 3 or 4 of those whys, you're going to come back to the real truth. And this might look something like, well, I want to find some ease in my back. Okay, well, why would you want to do that? Well, I want to find some ease in my back so that I can be more mobile, so I can interact with my children, my grandchildren, my partner in a way that feels free. Okay, well, why would you want to do that? Because I love the way they smile when I am able to partake with that. Okay, makes sense? So now your intention might shift a little bit from I want some freedom in my low back to I am practicing so that I can be more alive and interactive in the relationships that I have off the mat. Okay, so that's sort of the idea there. Please, this is a very quick one today. I'm going to do one more little segment that's just going to give us some understandings of the root things like the word namaste, and that will be today's video. Okay, so for the last thing about today is to just help understand a little bit of the yoga etiquette in the studio. So we come into the studio, please, just to make our lives a little bit easier, remove your shoes on the carpets. You will understand why when it starts to get a little bit wetter out. Put your shoes neatly along the entrance. Think of our cleanliness, think of our decluttering. So we want to make sure that we are in accordance with those principles of our practice, so that we keep our space nice and clean. When you come into the studio, go to the front, check in before you put your mat down, just so we have the proper numbers in the room, and then you can head on into the room. We thank you for remembering that the rooms are silent spaces. This is going to allow you to practice your maybe 5-minute meditation, or if you start to really resonate with some pranayama practices, you can maybe do some alternate nostril breathing before or after class, and that will give you a nice quiet time to settle in. In the studio rooms, make sure you align your mat up to a sticker and prop yourself. So don't take any pillows or any fabric cushions into the hot room, just blue block straps in that room. Other than that, in the room temperature studio, I would always suggest a blue block, or a bolster, or both. There's eye pillows and some blankets in there as well. Anything that is in the room should be used directly in your practice. So if you're not going to be using your yoga mat bag, then please don't bring it into the room and use the facilities that are there for you to store those. Just so, again, we're not cluttering up our space. We can easily transition and use the walls if the teacher ever so wants to add that in based on the numbers of the room, etc. And from there, we're just going to move. When we go through our yoga practice, there's some things that you see quite typically in a class. You may see or experience the teacher speaking in Sanskrit. This is a fancy way for us to sound really intelligent as yoga teachers. No, I'm just kidding. It's fun for us to learn that aspect, and I think it also gives a little bit of authenticity to the practice. Understanding the asana part of each of these yoga seats reminds us when we hear it that we're sitting in the experience of that. The one thing that's lovely and interesting to remember about a yoga asana is that when we are embodying that shape, we were embodying the ness of that shape. So let's say if we were to explain a t-shirt. In our sort of descriptive language, we see a t-shirt as it's got holes and sleeves, and we put our body parts through it, and that is a t-shirt. In Sanskrit, it's a very different vibrational sort of language that when chanting or speaking those words, it starts to create the vibration. So in actuality, if you were to explain a t-shirt in the same way you would the yoga postures, you would explain the ness of the t-shirt. You would explain the t-shirt-ness. So when we practice downward dog, we're not just simply mimicking the downward dog, we're trying to be in downward dog-ness, in that sort of organic reach, that stretch back, that non-competitive way that a dog would stretch in nature. And so when we sit in that seat, it kind of takes a little bit of our competitiveness away, and it helps us to really embody the vibrational quality of what it would mean to be in a bridge. What does it mean to cross over? What does it mean to get over that place that seems maybe unsurmountable? If that's the right word. Anyway, and then, the other aspect of this is at the closing of our practice. We see chanting sometimes. We might hear the chanting sound of Om. We might also hear the word Namaste. And Namaste is a representation or a recognition between yourself and the teacher. So this is the teacher within. It might be the teacher that you shared space with. It might be just a moment of expressing with all of the people that you have practiced and shared space and shared energy and supported and been supported by within the room. So it's not something that is just through teacher to student, but it is literally a recognition of the sameness, the equality, the light, the divine, that essence of spirit that exists within all of us. And so when we say and close our practice with Namaste, it's a very meaningful part of our practice, and it should be something that you pause and really sit in that place of gratitude and as much as you can. And the last thing would maybe be Om, the chanting of Om. Oh my goodness, isn't it scary to have to use your voice when you feel like you don't want to? And what if I sound off and all of that? Again, this is a vibrational practice. You do not have to partake. You can just ingest and feel and be embodied in that moment of vibrational omness. But if you can let go just for a little bit and start to partake, it's the reverberation, this feeling nature of Om that arises, the internal alignment with the vibration of Om, is thought to be one of the purest sounds that we can make. It is thought to exist within all things. So if you listen hard enough, you can find Om in anything. It also is thought to be where we birth consciousness from, the starting of our creation around us. All that exists within our universe resonates, or not resonates, but, well, yeah, I guess resonates with, but also is born of the sound of Om. So that is why we chant the sound of Om at the end of your class. And if for whatever reason your teacher doesn't chant Om, because I know that some instructors do it more than others, you can always just sit up and do a silent Om to yourself inside and see how that feels, and sit with that. So best of luck in the next 30 days. I will be with you tomorrow. I have no idea how long these videos are going to be, because if you know anything about me, sometimes I can talk a lot. So I hope you find them beneficial, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.